that we can continue that spirit as we move into our time of study this morning. Let me ask you this morning as we get started, how many of you enjoy reality television? Let's be honest now, okay? How many of you enjoy watching reality TV of some sort? And sometimes. See, that's one of those, most people are like closet reality fans. You know, you've got your show, but you're not going to, just come out and just let everybody know that that's what you enjoy. There are certain reality shows that I can't stand, which I'm sure some of you feel the same way. There are certain reality shows that I enjoy. I enjoy reality shows like Cake Boss. How many of you, a show about a guy that bakes cakes? Me and Buddy would be good friends. You know why? He likes to make cakes. I like to eat cakes. That is a friendship made in heaven right there, isn't it? Reality TV is something that kind of took over our culture, probably 15 years ago. I'm trying to remember. Survivor was like the first real big, like modern reality TV show, and I think they're in like their 30th season or something like that. They do 2 seasons a year, so it's been about 15 years. And then, you've got all kinds of new things, one after another. If you are semi-famous, you get a reality show. When we were pregnant with Colin, the first ultrasound, her grandmother was like, that kind of looks like twins. And I'm like, well, they didn't tell us it was twins. And I thought, what would be worse than twins would be having 3. But if I had 3, I could get my own reality TV show. A wife, 3 kids, and a sermon. I already had a name for it. So, but we didn't have triplets, so, the reality show just kind of went out the window. But reality TV is one of those things that's real interesting to me because, in all honesty, is it reality? No, every reality TV show has script writers. Why do they have script writers? So that they can script reality. And so, you take these guys that are interesting and you put them in a loosely scripted kind of thing and they say, okay, go for it. Reality TV, though, does one really good thing for me. As I watch reality TV, I realize something very important. And that is my family is not the craziest family in America. I watch reality TV and I'm like, they've got me beat by a long shot and it makes me feel good about my family. But the thing that I don't like about reality television is it gives us, especially our young people, it gives us a skewed view of what life really is. You know what I mean? It gives us a skewed view of what I should be striving for, what I should be looking for, what I should be trying to set my life up for. And so, although there's some good reality TV shows out there, some of them I can just kind of leave. A few of them I'll sit and watch. Blair watches a lot of reality TV, so I know a lot about reality TV because, I listen to a lot of reality television in the bed and can probably tell you more than I really would want to admit, knowing about a lot of these shows, especially shows that come on TLC. So, but reality TV, in Luke chapter 16, we were there a few minutes ago, we're going to be there again, we get a dose of reality TV Jesus style, if you will. And when you get a dose of something Jesus style, it's the real deal, right? It is right there. It's spot on. It's exactly what you can bank on it. That is how it is. And what Jesus does in Luke chapter 16 is he says, I'm going to give you a glimpse of reality on the other side of life, on the other side of eternity. And he's like, I'm going to teach you some lessons with this. And this morning I want us to look at this, and I want us to talk about some things together. Now, as we get into this lesson, I want to tell you on the front end what this lesson is and what it is not. On the front end, just to be completely honest with you, this sermon is about hell. Okay? We talk a lot about heaven, don't we? About wanting to get there, about how beautiful heaven's going to be, and things like that. But you know what we don't talk a whole lot about? Hell. Why is that? Maybe because it's uncomfortable? Because I don't know about you, I don't plan on spending a whole lot of time there myself, so we don't talk about it. But it's something that we need to talk about. It's something we need to understand. Something we need to be on the same page about and understand how bad it is so that it can motivate us to not spend eternity there. Now that's kind of what we're going to talk about this morning. Along with that though, a true biblical experience for you so that you can take the words of Christ and use them in the proper way and put them in the proper place in your life. Well, let's read through this again real quick so that we're all kind of there together. Luke chapter 16, starting in verse 19. There was a rich man who was dressed in purple and fine linen and lived in luxury every day. How many of you feel that describes you? Well, let's just be honest for a second. This really has very little to do with our lesson, but we are all rich, aren't we? We all had heat in our house last night. We all are dressed in very nice clothes this morning. We all got in our car, which had heat in it this morning, to drive here. We are in a beautiful building this morning. We are rich. So we have to be careful not to get trapped in the same things this guy got trapped in his worldly life. But anyway, verse 20, he says, at his gate was laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered with sores, and longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs came and licked his sores. The time came when the beggar died, and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. The rich man who also died was buried. In hell, where he was in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham far away with Lazarus by his side. He called to him, Father Abraham, have pity on me, and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire. But Abraham replied, Son, remember that in your lifetime you received good things, while Lazarus received bad things. But now he is comforted here while you are in agony. And besides all of this, between us is a great chasm has been fixed. So those who want to go from here to you cannot, nor can anyone cross over from there to us. He answered, Then I beg you, Father, send Lazarus to my house, for I have 5 brothers. Let him warn them, so that they will also not come to this place of torment. Abraham replied, They have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them. No, Father Abraham, he said, but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent. He said to him, If they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be convinced, even if someone rises from the dead. Let's break this passage down and talk about it a little bit. When the rich man died, and Lazarus for that matter, it's interesting what he says. Luke says, or Jesus says, when Lazarus died, he woke up where? By the side of Abraham. It says that he was escorted to Abraham's bosom, to right by his side. Now, that's an escort that I would love to have. Isn't it for you? An angel to escort me to the other side of eternity? That would be worth it all right there to me in a lot of ways. But the rich man who had everything, who didn't want for anything, what does it say about him? It said he died, and then what? What's the next 2 words? In hell. Nothing big and fancy about that, is there? Probably a big funeral took place. Probably a lot of people got up, talked about how great a guy he was. He must have been a great guy. He was successful. He must have been blessed. God must have loved him. Look at all that he had, all that he did for people. But it just says that in hell, where he woke up. And as he woke up in hell, there's some things that we see that he does. The first thing he does while he's there is he looks up. The first thing he does is he looks up. And what's the first thing he sees? He sees Lazarus and Abraham. He says he sees people. He says he sees the people on the other side of eternity. Now, I don't know about you, but that might be, forget the fire and flame. That's going to be torment. But I think one of the most awful things about missing eternity with God might be being on the other side and able to look into eternity and see those that I love. See those that ask me, you come and go to church with me. Seeing those that beg me, please come and be a part of this. Seeing those who pray for me and long for me to be on the other side with them. To be able to look onto the God side of eternity, to look into heaven and see those people and know that I had a chance to get there. But I never took it. That would have to be something that would torment me for all of eternity. And I think it's important for us in our walk to look up to heaven every now and then and remind ourselves, this place is real. And there's going to be real people there. There's going to be people that we love there. And I love spending so much time with them on this side of eternity. Imagine how great it's going to be on the other side of eternity. And I want to make sure that I spend eternity with them there. But the second thing that you see about him as he looks up is he remembers his life here on earth. He remembers his life here on earth. Let me ask you something. How many of you have ever bought anything you regret buying? Anybody ever had buyer's remorse? What do you do when you have buyer's remorse? Anybody ever just buy stuff and then end up just taking it back? Have you ever done that? Have you ever had buyer's remorse, but you're like, you know what, I may regret buying this. Boy, it looks good in here, you know. Boy, I shouldn't have bought this car, but boy, I really enjoy it. You know, a lot of times we live our life kind of like a computer, or we wish we could live our life like a computer, to where we have those moments that we wish we could just go back and erase. You know what I mean? You can erase files on a computer and they're gone, they're done with. Sometimes we look back in our life and we're like, man, if I could just get rid of that moment, everything would be great. But you know, I believe in eternity. What we see here is we're going to have what, maybe it's not buyer's remorse, maybe we could call it invitation remorse. Where we remember back to this time in our life, to these moments where we knew what we needed to do. Where we knew what God was asking of us. We knew that turning our life over to Him, confessing our sins, confessing Him as our Father and as our Savior, repenting of our sins, having those sins washed away for all of eternity, really. Because remember, we talked this morning in class about as long as we're walking in the light, we stay pure. But yet we never do it. When you get on the other side of eternity, I believe you're going to remember that. You're going to be haunted by the idea of, God, I had this opportunity. I had this chance to do something about this, but now I can't. You know, here in a little while, when we end our time of study, we're going to sing a song. And that song is going to be geared toward to get your mind thinking. And I want you to know this morning that as we sing that song, what's really happening is Jesus is saying, just come to me. Lay your burdens at my feet. Let go of these things that you're struggling with. Give in to me. And he's saying, I promise you, the life I have for you is so much better than anything this world has to offer. And I know in a room this size, there's some of you that know what you need to do. You know the decision you need to make. And for some reason, I don't know the reason in your mind, I'm sure it makes sense. You just put that decision off. But I want to challenge you to just give in. Give in to Christ this morning. Don't be like this rich man and be on the other side of eternity and looking back and wishing, man, I wish I had done something different, because today you can. Today you can do something different. And you can live different, and you can do great things in your life because Christ is your Savior. And because He'll help you make that difference. So we need to look up from time to time. But then there's a couple of things in this story that really grab my attention, that I think that are very important for us to understand, even more so than the things we've talked about. And the second thing that we hear from the rich man is a cry. Do you know that there's prayers in hell? What does the rich man do? He cries out to Father Abraham. He sends a petition to heaven. And the first petition is what? Help me. Do something for me. His first thought when he woke up on the other side of eternity, when he woke up in torment, who did he think about? Himself. And that shouldn't surprise us, should it? He was selfish, right? To be in hell, being selfish is almost a prerequisite, right? I mean, you don't get there by thinking about other people and doing great things for God and thinking about other things, right? You get there by thinking, what's best for Matthew? What's going to get Matthew ahead? What's going to be best for me? And he says, look, Abraham, do something for me. Not just Abraham. What does he call him? Father Abraham. What's significant about that? To me, what's significant about that is he knew who Abraham was. He knew the relationship he had with Abraham in context of his faith. And what I see from this man is this man probably called himself a spiritual guy, but not a religious guy. You ever heard anybody say that? Spiritual, but I'm not religious. Well, guess what? Just being spiritual doesn't do anything for you. Just being a good person doesn't do anything good for you. Being a saved child of God, not a child of Abraham, but a child of God, keeps you out of hell. He says, help me. Do something for me. And what does Abraham say? Can't do it, buddy. Sorry. You had your chance. And you said no. And he says, plus, there's this big chasm here, this big wide crater that keeps us from coming back and forth to each other. So I can't do anything for you. And then, to me, the most amazing thing in this story happens. His cry, his prayer, goes from a personal prayer about himself, a selfish prayer about himself, and his thoughts turn to who? His family. He says, then warn them. He says, I've got brothers, I've got family on the other side that they're heading in this direction, and I need you to do something. He says, Abraham, do this. Send Lazarus back to him. And let Lazarus talk to him. And he says, that'll get their attention. And what's his response? He says, no, they have Moses and the prophets. What's he saying there? They have what? The Bible. He says, if they're not going to listen to that, they're not going to listen to anybody else. Which I think is interesting. If I did a funeral for one of you, and 3 days later you came and knocked on my door and said, you're going the wrong direction, you need to turn around and repent, you might scare me into salvation. There's a good chance of it. But he says, look, all you need to be right with God is right here. It's not hard to understand. It's not completely hard to wrap your mind around. This is what you need to have a relationship. He says, if they don't do that, then nothing is going to make a difference. As a matter of fact, if you look at the story, in just a few weeks, who is going to die and be resurrected and come back and teach? Jesus. People still didn't believe him. But it's interesting to me, and I want you to think about this. This is the part of the lesson I really want you to kind of clear everything else out and think about with me for a minute. The rich man who had lived his life thinking about himself, thinking about only himself, being selfish. Even in eternity, the first moments of eternity was all about him. All of a sudden, became a wannabe soul winner. He became a man who was concerned about the salvation of other people, of those that he loved the most. And as I study for this lesson, and I think about this lesson, and I've let this lesson just roll around in my head now, one of the things that I have to ask myself, and I want you to ask yourself the same thing this morning, is do people in hell have a greater concern for the lost than we do? Think about that for a moment. Do people in hell have a greater concern for the lost than you and I have this morning? Have you ever stayed up at night on your knees praying to God about someone you love because you knew they weren't right with God? Have you ever shed tears for people because they were heading in a direction opposite of God? Because you see, that's what Paul did. Paul had that kind of burden. Look at what he says in Romans chapter 9 and 10. And these are a couple of different verses from those two chapters. He says, I have great sorrow and unceasing anguish in my heart. For I wish that I myself were cursed and cut off of Israel. Cut off from Christ for the sake of my brothers, those of my own race, the people of Israel. Brothers, my heart's desire and my prayer to God is for the Israelites. It is that they may be saved. What is Paul saying? He says, I hurt inside because I have brothers and sisters who aren't right with God. And he said, if I could give my salvation up so that they would have it, I would do it. That's the type of burden that Paul carried with him every step of his ministry. He said, I know Christ. I know what he did for me. I I know what He gave up for me. I know what I gained when I gave up this world. And I hurt inside because there are people who don't get it. Brothers and sisters, that's how we should feel. We should be willing to do anything to bring others closer to God. So I ask you the question again. Do people in hell have a greater concern for the lost than we do? And to be honest with you, I think in a lot of ways the answer is yes. And if that's the answer, then you know what? We need to change. We need to do something different. We need to change our direction. We need to change our focus as children of God. Play what if with me for a second. Okay? What if? What if you could spend 30 seconds, okay, you got 30 seconds, and you can either spend 30 seconds in heaven, or you can spend 30 seconds in hell. And the purpose of it is to make you closer to Christ and to give you a more evangelistic mindset. Where would you want to go? How many of you would want to go to heaven? Okay. How many of you would want to go to heaven? If it was up to me, how many of you have no idea? You're just like, I'm not voting. Okay, I'm going to make your mind up for you. You ready? If it's up to me, you know where I'm sending you? I'm sending you to hell for 30 seconds. As a child of God, guess what? I've got all of eternity to look forward to in heaven, right? I'm going to be there forever. I'm not going to have to worry about a 30-second glimpse. I know where I'm going. And so 30 seconds in hell of experiencing the same things that the rich man experienced, to experience the same things that motivated him to say, save the people that I love the most, that's where we're going. Because I believe while we're there, we will get a sense of what our mission truly is. And our mission is to save souls. Jesus told us as much. He said it is your job to go and teach and to save other people. And if we're not doing that, then we're not doing our job as children of God. We're on the same page? You following me this morning? I hope you are. When I worked at Walmart, I'll give you this story, then I'll let you have the lesson. When I worked at Walmart back a long time ago, we had a code atom. Who knows what a code atom is? Anybody? Code atom is when you lose a kid in the store. I guess Adam was the first one to ever get lost. I don't know. So they came over to the intercom. We have a code Adam. I think he was like a 3-year-old little boy, like he has blonde hair and he has on a blue shirt. And what that means is we all have places we go and look. Our job was that we had an exit door in the produce department back there, so our job was to stand by that door so nobody got out with the little boy. And so we're standing there, and this wasn't the first time this had happened. It usually, is over very quickly. But this thing went on like 10 or 15 minutes, and we were really kind of getting worried. The cops had time to get there. When you call a code out, you have to call the police department. The police department had already gotten there. The cops were in there. Everybody's looking for this kid. And like most every other child, they're behind he was behind a display, hiding from his parents. And they came over, canceled code out, and the child's been found. And the whole store erupted in applause. I thought, this is so cool. But as I'm going back to my car that night, I'm thinking, wouldn't it be amazing if as the church, we had the same urgency and desire to look for lost little boys, lost little girls, lost mamas, lost daddies, grandparents, and bring them to Christ. That's the reality of our job. And the reality is, if we don't do our job, then people go to hell, where they live eternity in torment. So I challenge you this morning with this reality show from God. And my challenge is, if you're heading in the direction of hell today, change directions. Let's just do a U-turn. Let's go back the other way. Let's make things right. Let's get things in order so that you don't have to worry about that. And the second challenge is, if you're going in the right direction, let's make sure we're doing everything we can to take as many people with us as possible. Let's go to God in prayer as we close. God, it is wonderful to be with you in your presence today as we worship. As we've gathered around this table and commune with one another in remembrance of the sacrifice your Son made. God, he made that sacrifice so that we have the hope, have the assurance of eternity with you. But God, this story this morning is a reminder that we're not all going to get there. We can. We all have the ability to get there, and that's what I pray for this morning, the realization that that's where we all need to be. And that death of your sons is our motivation, not just get us there, but to take as many people with us as possible. So God, this morning as we close this time together, we pray that our hearts are open, that your Spirit is moving within us. It's convicting us with the words of your message this morning. May we be convicted and changed, God. May we live closer to you each day. In your Son's name we pray. If there's anything you need, come as we stand as we sing.